Martinian was the 63rd emperor of Rome, though his reign was fleeting and relatively obscure in the grand narrative of Roman imperial history. His story is inextricably linked to the political turbulence of the early 4th century CE, when the Roman Empire was embroiled in a struggle for power between several rival emperors. Martinian's rise, reign, and eventual downfall were closely connected to the broader conflict between two of Rome's most famous rulers, Constantine I, the future first Christian emperor, and Licinius, his rival and fellow emperor of the Eastern Empire. Martinian's origins are somewhat unclear, though it is generally believed that he came from a background in the Roman bureaucracy rather than military leadership. His early career was marked by competence in administration, earning him a reputation as an able civil servant. He likely held various positions in the imperial administration before attracting the attention of Licinius, who became emperor of the East after the death of Emperor Galerius in 311 CE. Licinius, who had been appointed co-emperor alongside Galerius, ruled over the Eastern Roman Empire with his capital in Byzantium, later Constantinople. In the early 300s and 20s, Licinius found himself in opposition to Constantine I, the emperor of the West, who had recently consolidated control over the western part of the empire. The two emperors initially shared an uneasy peace after a tentative agreement in 313, known as the Edict of Milan, which legalized Christianity in the empire. However, tensions between the two emperors soon escalated, with both men eyeing greater control over the entire empire. During this time, Licinius sought to bolster his position by appointing trusted allies to high positions of power, and Martinian was one such ally. Although not a military leader, Martinian's bureaucratic expertise and political acumen made him a valuable figure in Licinius's court. He was elevated to the rank of emperor, though it is unclear whether he was given this title officially or merely served as a co-emperor with Licinius. The appointment of Martinian as a co-emperor was likely a political maneuver by Licinius to strengthen his hold on the East and to create a unified front against Constantine I, who had already defeated his rivals Maxentius and Maximinus Daia to become the sole ruler of the Western Roman Empire, grew increasingly wary of Licinius and his growing power. In 324 CE, tensions between the two rulers reached a boiling point, leading to the outbreak of open conflict. Constantine's ambition was not just to rule the West, but to reunify the empire under his control, and Licinius's regime stood as the main obstacle to his plans. In the course of the civil war that followed, Martinian's role in the conflict remains somewhat vague, but he was undoubtedly aligned with Licinius. In the pivotal Battle of Chrysopolis in 324 CE, Constantine decisively defeated Licinius's forces, effectively securing control of the entire Roman Empire. After the defeat, Licinius was captured, imprisoned, and eventually executed in 325 CE. Martinian, who had been elevated as a figurehead of opposition to Constantine, was also deposed and removed from power. After his defeat by Constantine, Martinian's position became untenable. Constantine, seeking to eliminate any threats to his rule, ordered that Martinian be stripped of any imperial titles and exiled to the distant province of Cappadocia in central Anatolia. Cappadocia was a remote and less significant part of the empire, far from the political center of Constantinople and the power struggles of the Roman elite. Though he was sent into exile, Martinian was not executed immediately. Constantine, in keeping with the practice of sparing defeated rivals when no immediate danger to his rule existed, allowed Martinian to live in relative obscurity. However, Constantine's suspicion of potential conspiracies or the threat of his former adversaries resurfaced as time went on. In the years that followed his deposition, Martinian's fate took a tragic turn. In 324 CE, Constantine grew increasingly concerned about the possibility of his former enemies conspiring against him, particularly in the eastern provinces. As part of a larger purge of former Licinian supporters, Constantine ordered the execution of Martinian, likely around 325 CE. The exact circumstances of his death remain unclear, but it is generally believed that he was executed by either execution or starvation in exile. The execution of Martinian marked the end of his brief and largely inconsequential reign as emperor. Constantine's decisive consolidation of power over both the eastern and western parts of the empire marked the beginning of a new era in Roman history, one in which he would reshape the empire and leave an indelible legacy as the first Christian emperor and founder of Constantinople. Despite his brief tenure as emperor, Martinian holds a place in history due to the broader context of the Roman Empire's struggle for power during the early 4th century. His rise and fall reflect the volatility of imperial politics in the wake of the tetrarchy system, which had been instituted by Diocletian in the late 3rd century. The division of the empire into separate eastern and western regions often led to rivalries and civil wars, with individuals like Martinian being elevated by political necessity rather than genuine power or popular support. Martinian's role as a puppet emperor in Licinius's regime underscores the fragility of imperial authority during this period. His lack of military experience and reliance on political alliances rather than popular support or military might made his reign vulnerable in the face of Constantine's superior strength and vision. In the broader context of Roman history, Martinian's name is largely forgotten, overshadowed by the more enduring figures of Constantine and Licinius. His downfall, however, highlights the ruthless political environment of the time in which rivals could be eliminated without mercy. Constantine's decisive actions in eliminating former rivals, even those who posed no immediate threat, ensured his unchallenged dominance of the empire. Martinian, as an unfortunate figure in the wider struggle for imperial power, serves as a reminder of the instability that marked the period of transition from the tetrarchy to a more centralized autocratic form of imperial rule under Constantine. In conclusion, Martinian's reign as emperor was brief, largely uneventful, and marred by his association with Licinius's doomed cause. His deposition and subsequent execution by Constantine reflect the harsh realities of Roman imperial politics, and his historical legacy is mostly a footnote in the larger story of Constantine's rise to power. While he may not have left a lasting impact on the empire, his short-lived reign stands as a testament to the shifting alliances and deadly rivalries that defined the tumultuous early 4th century in Rome.